what's next in the story. Doesn't look at the moment on paper like Suzuki are going to be able to repeat the heroics that they came up with last week, but MotoGP has been truly remarkable in 2020. 9 different winners we've now had in 12 races so far. Could we see a record 10th coming up shortly this afternoon? On pole position will be Franco Morbidelli, looking for his 3rd win of the season. Got big hitters in the World Championship further down on rows 4 and 5. We'll be back shortly to bring you the broadcast of MotoGP here in Valencia. Races down, 2 to go. Valencia's Ricardo Tormo circuit sets the scene once more, as today it's match point Mir. Will he be crowned world champion here today, or will the Prosecco be on ice until Portugal? It's race day here in MotoGP. Back-to-back races at Circuit Ricardo Tormo here in Valencia. The circuit that normally and traditionally ends our season, but not this time. The penultimate round of the World Championship coming up. Much better weather conditions here this weekend. Is there a chance that we'll see the best race lap go here today? A 1:31.1 from Marquez last year. Quite a few overtaking hotspots here, but one of the favourites is into turn 14. This was way back in 2013. Great battle between 2 Spanish legends, Jorge Lorenzo and Dani Pedrosa. Coming up though in MotoGP, title hopes just about alive. Can Morbidelli mount a miracle comeback starting today? Jack Miller wants to be 2020's 10th different winner. Is it the Aussies' turn to shine? Could it be Nakagami? The Japanese rider is on the front row once again. And is today the day that Joan Mir dreamt of? He could become world champion here this afternoon in MotoGP. Welcome back to Valencia. We're in sunny Spain. Very nice day, the best we've had over the last 3 here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit. Hashtag match point. That's where we're at in MotoGP coming into today. 2 rounds left, 2 races left. The season ends in 7 days' time, but does the title end here today? Joan Mir has a 37-point lead with just 50 available, but he is mired mid-pack on the grid. 22-degree air temperature with the sun out. Steve Day, Matt Burt and Simon Crafar to talk you through this one. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be fascinating as always. Franco Morbidelli, just about the bookies' favourite, starts from pole position, but in a season, Matt, where we've had 9 different winners, really and truly we should know better by now than to say that it's going to be going all his way.
Yet another tough one to call, isn't it? Coming up though, over the next hour and a half or so, it's the biggest race, the biggest day of this young man's life. Joan Mir on the factory Suzuki. Pretty academic, a podium finish today from that lowly spot on the 4th row of the grid, and he will be crowned 2020 MotoGP World Championship. Immaterial of what happens to Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins. It is a monumental day, of course, for Suzuki. They're trying to take the triple crown. And what about this man, Franco Morbidelli? He's been in devastating form in almost every session so far this weekend. A fantastic charge to his second MotoGP pole position yesterday. Many of his rivals on the grid ahead of this 27-lap race have predicted that this man potentially can wrap up his third win of the season. He still thinks he's got a part to play in the destiny of this 2020 MotoGP World Championship, but Franco Morbidelli, many people's big pre-race favourite going into this penultimate race.
Yeah, he looks nervous, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Certainly a bit of a pensive look here from Joan Mir.
Yeah, there's going to be butterflies, no doubt about it. There has to be. It's the biggest day of his life. It's what he spent his entire life dreaming about, thinking about and working towards for such a long time. He's wanted to be in this position ever since he first threw his leg over a motorcycle in his formative days, and now here he is standing on the brink of a famous triumph for Suzuki. They've not won the title, of course, since Kenny Roberts Jr. 20 long years ago now, back in 2000.
Fabio Quartararo was in control of this one World Championship once upon a time, but not the case. It's almost got to the point now where he has nothing to lose, just to try and get himself any chance of holding on to a championship hope. They've turned the bike upside down all weekend, Matt, to try and find a setting for Fabio Quartararo to contend, and so far we don't think that they've found any answers. They were still trying going into this morning's warm-up. The Frenchman, Matt, starts from the fourth row next to Mir.
Yeah, there's been no magic wand so far in the Petronas Yamaha SRT garage, and Fabio Quartararo qualifying mid-pack. We know that the Yamahas, in particular Fabio Quartararo, have had front tyre pressure issues as well. Alex Rins, he's got an awful lot of work to do to keep the championship running to Portimao next weekend. Middle of the fifth row, Alex Rins starts. We know he won from 10th on the grid in Aragon just a few weeks ago, but it's going to be a big ask. He needs a big race win today, and then to hope as well that his teammate Joan Mir does crack and potentially buckle under the pressure. It's very much advantage Mir going into this penultimate round.
Yeah, Rins has just got to go for it, hasn't he? He's got to have a barnstormer. He's got to have the perfect start. He's got to be aggressive. He's got to be Route 1. Straight to the top. That's the only answer for him if he wants to stay in the World Championship. There are a few riders, though, on this grid with very little to lose, including this man, Nakagami, on the front row again, looking for that elusive, up to now, maiden podium in MotoGP.
All of his 11 finishes so far this year, the 28-year-old, have been inside the top 10. Fourth last weekend, equalled his best ever in MotoGP, and starting from the front row of the grid as well, a cheeky wink and a thumbs up from the Aussie Jack Miller. He'll be hoping to make the dream launch with Ducati's famed whole shot device, get the run down for first corner. It's notoriously tricky to overtake around this tight and twisty 4-kilometre Valencia circuit. He'll be trying to give Nakagami and Morbidelli and co some early headaches. Everybody, to a man and woman in this paddock this weekend, feels like if Morbidelli and Nakagami can make the start, get ahead of the Ducatis, they've got the pace potentially to break away and make it a two-way fight. Some people think actually Morbidelli's got the speed to do what he did in Aragon just a few weeks ago, where he capitalised on Nakagami's early mistake and then rode an immaculate race to take his second win of the season.
Jack Miller is confident, though. He's had a couple of missed opportunities to win races so far this year, one of them taken away from him, not his own fault. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how that goes.
There's no pre-race pleasant chit-chat down in Suzuki, is there? Everybody is just focusing on their job. It's silent. They know that this is such a huge day in their history coming. Ken Kouachi there, the project leader, the technical manager, what a job he's done to turn that GSX-RR motorcycle. 5 years since Suzuki came back to MotoGP in 2015. And that motorcycle now is the bike that every single MotoGP rider would love to be on.
Johann Zarco looks like a rock star down in the garage before his race begins. Keep an eye on Jay-Z. He's on the second row, fourth. He's had decent rhythm all weekend, and he fancies his own chances, which is bad news for everyone else.
The KTM charge of late has certainly been led by this man, Pol Espargaro, counting down to the end of his Red Bull KTM factory racing career, of course, on his way to Repsol Honda next year. Will today be the day that Pol Espargaro finds his first MotoGP victory? And will today be the day that this man be crowned the 2020 MotoGP World Champion. We've not had a new World Champion MotoGP since Marc Marquez started his unrivaled domination of the Premier Class back in 2013.
Yes, and there he is, watching from home. We know he won't be back until next year, but is it time to say that he is the former world champion and not the current? Either way, it will be that in the next 7 days, but will it be today? Here is the brother of Marc, and it's great to see that he's fit and able to start this one after a huge high side yesterday for Alex. He went to hospital and they were going to check to see how warm-up went in terms of whether or not he'd be declared fit to race for today. The good news is, Alex Marquez fans, he's giving it a good go. He's been declared fit, he's decided he's good to go, and of course he's still got a rookie battle to try and win and wrestle against this guy Brad Binder, who I really fancy to have a big say in today's proceedings. 9th on the grid, 3rd row for Binder. Could he repeat the heroics of Brno earlier in the season?
Well, who knows? He's had great form all weekend so far. He starts behind this man, Pecco Bagnaia. His first mission will be to try and get ahead of one of the fast starting Ducatis. Pecco Bagnaia feels like he's got top 5 potential as well today. He needs to arrest quite an alarming decline, doesn't he? The 23-year-old Italian, he's DNF'd in the last 3 races, only one top 6 in the last 6 since Misano won for the Italian.
Aleix Espargaro, another good job from him in qualifying. He starts 7th here today. The big question marks are about who's going to be joining him in Aprilia next year. All the rumours were last night, and certainly a lot of fingers pointing towards the Welshman Chaz Davies. We know Chaz will be watching. We send our best regards to him. Will he be on the bike as soon as Portimao next week?
Well, with track temperatures almost nudging 30 degrees, some early tire information filtering through from Michelin. At the moment, the plan for everybody coming to the grid, every single rider planning to start this race with the medium rear tyre, which is no great surprise, and not much deviation in terms of front tyre choice. The only 3 men that are not running, or what we think are running, the hard front tyre are Maverick Viñales, Lorenzo Savadori and Jack Miller.
That's a hard front in Fabio Quartararo's bike.
Yeah, well, there's only 3 men that are planning not to run the hard front.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought you said that were.
Yeah, no, sorry.
My
yeah,
bad.
Sorry,
My
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, it's Fabio Quartararo, who would not have done a lot of laps on that hard front tyre, would he, over the course of the 2 weekends with so much rain last week? And it's the temperature, isn't it? 30 degrees on track. There is quite a stiff breeze blowing around this Valencia circuit right now. Will that be a factor? So many of the riders in Moto2 just talked about the influence of the wind throughout their 25-lap race.
Will there be any last-minute changes on the grid? Joan Mir has notoriously favoured the medium front throughout the entire 2020 season.
With that bit of wind around, Steve, you've got to factor that in terms of it cooling that front tyre. So will it be a late decision? Will a couple more riders perhaps dip down from the hard to the medium? Nobody for sure is going to run the soft front. No way. That's never been an option right from the get-go here. Piero Taramasso confirmed that earlier in the weekend to Simon Crafart.
2 men there just exiting pit lane, counting down the days of their MotoGP careers as Rossi exits pit lane with that hard front. Valentino Rossi with a lot of work to do from 16th on the grid this afternoon.
Yeah, and Valentino Rossi, Maverick Viñales and Fabio Quartararo less than impressed with the current performance of the 2020 YZR M1. So the penultimate tyre choice of the season, how crucial will that be with temperatures on the up here? Nice blue skies overlooking this Ricardo Tormo circuit. At the moment, everybody going for the asymmetric medium rear tyre, and everybody bar 3, Viñales, Savadori and Jack Miller, going for the medium front tyre. So we shall see whether anybody's going to be persuaded to have a slight late change.
Our virtual fan wall over at turn 14. There's quite a few Suzuki fans there that are hoping for a big day for Joan Mir.
There were some people around the world about to get up very early to see this day. Some people staying up very late. Let's hope it's all worth their time with match point Mir standing on the brink of glory.
Jack Miller then starts from 2nd on the grid. Pecco Bagnaia starts from 8th. What does Francesco Guidotti make of the Pramac Ducati chances here today in Valencia? Down to you on the grid, Simon.
Yes, just standing next to Jack, and Francesco's looking pensive there. Francesco, I noticed this event, every time Jack wanted to go fast, meaning he wasn't just doing a race run, he was. You think he can do something special today? I do.
I hope you're right. You never know with Jack. He's always very close to the leading group, and often on the podium. Yesterday and before yesterday, every time we try the long run, he somehow succeed. There was him and Morbido, the best long run I've seen on the papers. And unfortunately, there's wind that usually affect a lot the Jack's riding style. But yeah, finger crossed, and let's start.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. That's a very good point, actually, regarding the wind. That completely wrecked Jack Miller's race.
It's always been a problem, that, for Ducatis, windy conditions. I remember right from the get-go when they first arrived in MotoGP way back in 2003. Fabio Quartararo, then, his main mission is to try and put some pressure on Joan Mir and see if he cracks and the championship can be extended to next weekend in Portimao. 11th place on the grid for Fabio Quartararo. He actually does start right next to Joan Mir on that 4th row.
Pol Espargaro here, back-to-back races of late. In Austria, he was on the podium and improved. The same in Misano, and improved dramatically in Aragon as well. If he improves from 3rd that he had last week, well, could he be on the top step later?
Well, Francesco Guidotti, Pramac Ducati boss, he said Franco Morbidelli's got great race pace. He's a big favourite. He starts from pole for the 2nd time in MotoGP, on the front row with Jack Miller and Taka Nakagami. 3rd successive front row start for the LCR Honda man. Zarco, Pol Espargaro, former KTM teammates, and Maverick Vinales, they make up the 2nd row of the grid. Then it's Aleix Espargaro, good job by the Aprilia man ahead of Pecco Bagnaia and Brad Binder. Miguel Oliveira there, hedgerow 4, and then 2 of the championship rivals, Fabio Quartararo 11th, and the world champion-elect Joan Mir start from 12th. Cal Crutchlow on row 5, just one more MotoGP race for Cal Crutchlow after this weekend. Alex Rins, another one of the main men in the championship, work to do from the middle of row 5. Rossi and Dovizioso, who would have thought in a Valencian Grand Prix those two would be mired right down on the 6th row of the grid. Of course, Andrea Dovizioso confirming he will not be on the grid in 2021. Tito Rabat, Alex Marquez and Lorenzo Savadori make up your row 7.
Carmelo Espeleta there, hoping that we can get this season done. Will he be congratulating a world champion later on this afternoon? KTM had 3 riders in the top 7 here last week. Will it go even better than that? Mike Leitner's down on the grid with Simon.
He is, Mike. Actually, we're just watching a couple little mods going on the bike, guys, and then the rear wheel going in. Mike, last week, Paul was on the podium, and he's looking just as strong, if not stronger, this weekend. But 2 of your other riders, Brad Binder, also Miguel, looks super strong as well. Can you give us an idea what you're expecting?
Yeah, it's like every weekend when you have 3 riders in the top 10, you can expect something. So we hope we can finish the first 2 laps, which are always tricky in this category, and then show a good performance. So of course we had last week a podium, and would be very nice to see one of our boys again up there, but these are wishes, and we have to see what the reality will show us.
When you say about the first 2 laps, I get the feeling not just other traffic, you're talking about the hard front tyre as well?
Exactly, yeah. The conditions been again bad in the session, so we couldn't really work a lot with the hard front tyre, and especially here turn 4, the right-hand corners are always very tricky. The right side to warm up that tyre, so yeah, when this is done, I feel better already.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Yeah, nerves everywhere for the riders on the grid in terms of tyre choice with this wind picking up. Here is Miguel Oliveira then starting from 10th. He's got great rhythm. He'll need a good start. This hard front tyre is an interesting one, Matt, especially for me, for Joan Mir, because he, traditionally speaking, loves that medium front.
Yeah.
He's been forced to use this hard front tyre. The last time he used that this weekend, he crashed at turn 4.
He did. He went down pretty heavily, didn't he, on Friday at turn 4. And temperature on the right-hand side of the hard front tyre, particularly around Valencia, of course, is anti-clockwise, predominantly dominated by left-handers, so it's hard to generate and then keep temperature in the right-hand side of the tyre. That's going to be at the back of the riders' minds. Alex Rins, He's done a brilliant rescue job on more than one occasion from poor qualifying performances so far this year. A 4th row start, 10th to the victory in Motorland Aragon a few weeks ago. But more work for him to do today from 14th place on the grid, sandwiched in between Crutchlow and Petrucci.
We're inching closer to the main event here, the penultimate race of 2020. Perhaps a refreshment break coming up here for Joan Mir.
It's easier said than done, is it? But I'm sure Davide Brivio has just said, look, just do everything that you've done already to get yourself in this position. He's been brilliant, consistently fast all throughout the season, recovered fantastically well from the early setbacks. I mean, let's not forget when he crashed out very early on in the opening race in Jerez and then was wiped out by Iker Lecuona in Brno. I think most people wrote Mir off as a serious contender, even at that early juncture of the season.
The penultimate race of Cal Crutchlow's career coming up from 13th on the grid. He'll be off to help Yamaha try and build a bike that can contend for the World Championship. Of course, becoming Yamaha's official test rider from 2021.
Carmelo Espeleta there, Dorna CEO. I'm led to believe some very, very senior management here. Some of the highest figures in Michelin and Michelin Motorsport down on the grid, coming to enjoy this penultimate race. What a race it is, a potentially historic race for the factory Suzuki team. This man on the brink of their first world title in 20 long years. How are the nerves for the team boss, Davide Brivio? Over to you, Simon.
Yes, first about the race, Davide, and then secondly about the championship. But about the race, your guys on paper really are fast enough to be on the podium, just like last week. But it looks so daunting from here on the grid, all the bikes in front. And what are your feelings? Are they going to get there or not? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the first corner is far away. And yeah, no, as you say, we have a good pace. They both feel comfortable. John was very comfortable yesterday. We didn't change anything for the race in terms of setting or the bike. And
you mean from last week?
No, yeah, from last week, yes. Because the conditions of the track are different and they require a different adjustments. And but the problem is the starting position. So as always, I mean, it doesn't happen so often to start much in front. So that's a kind of a normal race. But of course, this time is an important race. So he has to try to recover as much as possible. First of all, the priority is to get out from the first 2-3 laps without any problems, any issue, and then try to pick up the pace and see where we can arrive. You know. And then let's see, and then we will see at the end. Of course, with this race pace, it would have been, I mean, if we would have been more in front, I would be more relaxed. But there is always the recovery matter that, let's see.
A couple of other things, David. This, the front tyre pressure, you know, when they're in a group, we hear so many people complain about the front tyre pressure going up. And I also saw the team working on Mir's front tyre pressure this morning, warm up, adjusting. What's your feelings on that?
Yeah, you know, now this detail are becoming very important, and yeah, this is something we pay attention. We always pay attention, and you have to try. The difficulty is that you have to fix some sort of starting pressure, but then it might vary a lot depending on the type of race. If you are in front alone or if you are on a draft, and so it's difficult to guess, you know. So that's always the gamble, no? You know, and whether, of course, now we start in 12, presumably we will have to stay in the draft a lot with the other rider, you know. So, okay, we take it into account that.
Last thing is, I know you say you never think about the championship, you think about the race. You must be thinking about it today, a little?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can't avoid. I tried not to think, but...
Sorry to remind you.
No, it's okay. I can't avoid. And so, of course, we know what we are playing today. We know that is a match point. We try not to think too much. We try to stay relaxed. But, of course, let's be honest, there's much more tension than normal. I mean, more tension than normal, that's clear. And, okay, I hope to be better in 1 hour.
Davide, best of luck.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks to Davide Brivio. Thanks very much, Simon, as well. While we were just hearing from Davide, we're looking at a couple of riders on the grid who look really, really nervous. Joan Mir, I have to be honest, I've never seen him looking more nervous on the grid than he is right now. This is such a massive moment.
You can understand why the nerves are jangling. There are butterflies inside the tummy. It's the biggest day of his life, and it doesn't matter what you say. he has to be thinking about the championship. He can't just lock down, block it all out and go into his normal routine. He looks so pensive, so apprehensive. Tyre choice in Valencia last weekend was so crucial. It looks like everybody's going for that preferred medium rear tyre. A couple of different choices in terms of front tyre, but what are the thoughts pre-race of Michelin Motorsport manager Piero Taramasso? I'm delighted to say he's joining Simon on the grid right now.
Yeah, Piero, can you give us a bit of an idea what's happening? We know majority are looking at the medium rear tyre. I imagine same on the front, but I know the KTMs especially like the hard. What do you think's going to happen? Which brand? But also, do you think there's likely to be any last-minute changes and surprise us?
No, the situation is look very calm. We have a lot of data from last week, from Friday and Saturday. Basically, all the riders, they are with the hard front and the rear medium. Yes, because the temperature is quite high. With the hard front, you get better support, a better consistency. And the rear medium is the best combination about grip and consistency. So basically, everybody's like that. Maybe 2 riders with a medium on the front, but the same, basically the same for all the riders.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks to Piero Taramasso, thanks to Simon there as well. They did this last week, Suzuki, running around with a front tyre, trying to fool everyone.
Yeah, a bit of kidology going on, wasn't there? But are they dropping back to that medium front? Who knows? Only Suzuki know what's underneath those tyre warmers. Danilo Petrucci then, waving goodbye to the factory Ducati team. This time next week he'll be looking to bow out with some strong results. A lot of work to do today for Petrucci though. He starts from 15th place on the grid, back of row 5. A couple of fast Italians behind him as well, with a lot of experience in Valentino Rossi and Andrea Dovizioso.
There are the 2 Suzuki men and Fabio Quartararo. Then, of course, Rins and Quartararo locked on points, 37 behind Joan Mir. There are so many permutations. We'll keep you informed throughout the race of how Joan Mir could be crowned champion today. We've got all the graphics, everything lined up ready for you. Just a reminder that if he finishes on the podium today, Joan Mir, then you don't even need to look at any of the maths. He's champion. And if he ends today with 26 points more or more, he is world champion. There's more work to do for others than there is for Joan Mir.
Yeah, and while Joan Mir looks absolutely overwhelmed and overcome with nerves and tension, Franco Morbidelli just has a little amble up pit lane like he's just going out for a little Sunday cruise in the sunshine. Talking about the prospects of Petronas Yamaha SRT, many people's big pre-race favourite is Franco Morbidelli, and Fabio Quartararo, of course, still fighting to keep the championship alive. Let's hear the final pre-race thoughts of the team boss, Wilco Zeelenberg, with Simon.
Wilco, as Matt was just saying, Franco is many people's race favourite, and I've got to agree with that from what I saw. I'd like you to comment on that, but also Fabio, listening to him all weekend, but also last night, still wanting to try bike setup for warm-up. Did you find something?
Well, actually, we tried a couple of things, and but the bottom line, yeah, we did not really want it and get what we wanted, basically. So the feeling is not too bad, because he's up there with the boys. Even Johan is behind him, of course. But the feeling that, yeah, what Franco at the moment has, he doesn't have. So that's a fact. And also, you know, looking to the facts, Franco has done a great weekend so far, and he did his homework well. So hopefully he can bring it home.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, the very best of luck to Franco Morbidelli. He was absolutely awesome in the Grand Prix of Teruel. No one could touch him. No one could lay a glove on him. Will it be the same story for him today? And it's just all-out attack for Fabio Quartararo. You know that he's going to give it his all, even if he hasn't got the bike underneath him to potentially come through and win. Those are the eyes of Alex Rins. The 42 Bakery inside his side of the garage will be hoping he makes a good start. Has he made a last-minute change front tyre-wise?
Great run of form right now for Alex Rins at the moment. Hard front, medium rear tyre, that seems to be the preferred combination for the majority of the grid. 3 successive podiums in MotoGP for the first time. A Suzuki rider has not had 4 successive podiums since the legendary Kevin Schwantz back in 1994. Of course, Alex Rins and Joan Mir could match that achievement in today's race.
It's no real surprise to see Miller go for that medium front tyre. He said straight after last week's race he just couldn't get any temperature into the hard front. The question is, can he make the medium front last race distance?
So clock ticking down, 6 minutes to go until this young man starts the biggest 27 laps of not just his MotoGP career, his racing life.
He's been in this position a few times already this year, has Joan Mir, on that 4th row. He was 10th on the grid at the Grand Prix of Andalusia. He came through to finish 5th. He was 11th on the grid, exactly the same position. Sorry, 11th on the grid to finish in 2nd in the Grand Prix of Emilia-Romagna. And he was 12th on the grid, exactly where he is now at the Grand Prix of Teruel. And he came through to finish in 3rd. And if he does that again here today, it's all done and dusted.
Well, he's done the hard work, 7 podiums in the last 9 to get himself in this position. Can he get it over the finishing line now and become Suzuki's first world champion in 2 decades? What a way it would be for the Hamamatsu factory to mark their 100th anniversary. There was Tito Rabat, of course. Confirmation, sadly, that he'll be moving on to pastures new next season, with Enea Bastianini and Luca Marini coming into a split, a Sponsorama racing team next year, half of it being backed by Sky VR46 for Marini.
Here is Fabio Quartararo. He'd need something magic today in order to keep his championship hopes alive. No top 6 finish for him since his win in Catalonia. The BMW heads off. 5 minutes to go until the race start. Just a couple of minutes left until the warm-up lap begins here in the penultimate race of 2020. A 27-lap race that could decide who wins this World Championship.
Looks like there's been a late tyre change. Fabio Quartararo has gone down from the hard front to the medium front tyre, and Stefan Bradl has too. So 5 riders planning to start this Valencia Grand Prix on the medium front. Every rider is on the medium rear slick.
I just wonder if Fabio's done that so that he can attack early on and he feels more comfortable. He hasn't got to wait for that hard to come up to temperature. It's going to be an exciting start. Remember, it's narrow, it's tight around Valencia. It's so difficult to pass, and a good start is imperative around here. There's a tricky couple of corners as well when there's a lot of riders around.
So the grid starts clearing. Has Joan Mir got a clear head and a clear run to the 2020 MotoGP World Championship? What's going through the mind now of Davide Brivia, who's done such an outstanding job since Suzuki returned to MotoGP in 2015? 5 short years later, and here they are now standing on the brink of glory in 2020.
It's match point in MotoGP. Here is your front row. Taka Nakagami, for the 3rd time in a row, is on the front row, looking for podium number 1 of 2020. Jack